Being present when you are fully burnt out as a parent is probably a real skill. It's definitely something that I really lost last year, and have like 7 really simple little hacks that I popped in just to my day-to-day to really help me be much more present. And then being more present, I kind of enjoyed life a bit more because I felt like I was in a bit of a routine kind of fog. Is that a word? Fog. So from somebody who is very bad at being present, here's 7 tips of how to be more present in your life. My name's SJ, I am a mum of 3. They are 12, 9 and 6 now. I'm really into gentle parenting. I'm really into like plant-based food. I'm really into baby names, bit of vintage stuff. So if that sounds like you, I would love to have you here on my channel and hit subscribe. Some people start January really like full of beans and really motivated, and I do, but then I also start January with quite a lot of parental burnout from sort of the end of the year, or other stuff that you just might be going through. And burnout, I kind of used to think it was a CEO thing, you just got it if you like worked really hard in an office under loads of stress. But we all know that, particularly working mums, if you're a working mum or full-time mum with loads of children at home, or it's your first baby, there are so many reasons why you can just have this humongous sense of burnout. And I'll put on screen the symptoms of burnout, because I read these around sort of November, October last year, and I was like, that is totally me. I feel all of those things, and a big thing is feeling totally disengaged from your life. And I would describe it in my case as feeling like, I was just going through my motions with my routine and never really dipping in or enjoying or feeling like I was in control almost. I'd say I was like skimming, and I would say it was almost like, Big Brother house, do you remember that? And then sometimes you would get taken off and you'd be like behind the wall just watching, and it was kind of like being removed from life, if that makes sense, this feeling of sort of being behind a screen a little bit. So that's kind of how I experienced it, which sounds very deep and tragic, but it is really hard to bring yourself then back into the present. And people talk about like meditation and all these things, which I do. But meditation doesn't make the dinner, meditation doesn't put the kids to bed, and as I learned, it sort of takes away almost from being present. So these are really practical little tips, things you can just do that slot in that are really effective. Number 1 is to tap in. So this sounds really weird, but I heard this tip on a podcast, can't remember which one, I'll try and find it and link it in the description box. And it was this really simple idea that when you walk into a room, you tap on the door and set your intention of why you're walking into that room. It sounds really stupid when I say it now to you, but basically it really works. So I'm like, I'm here to have a coffee and make my breakfast, and then you just fully focus on that intention in that room. Or I'm here to work. I'm here to work, and then you're fully in the zone of work. Or I'm here to play a game with my children. Because we use our rooms so much for different things, we might eat at our dining room table, we might work at our dining room table, we might play games or do homework at our dining room table, and it's hard to kind of then feel really focused on what you're doing. And I found this tip so transformative and just so simple, and just to bring you into the zone, because being present, I guess a lot of us want to be more present with our kids, but it really is a practice of bringing yourself into what you're doing, what task you're doing. And if you can do it for everything else, then you can do it as a parent. See, it all makes sense. I really want you to try it out. Have you ever done it? Have you heard it before? Let me know. There's a little chatty bit below, discussion boxes, comment section, where we can chat about it. Next, for actually being present with your kids or with your family or with whoever you're with, even if it's work colleagues, is the power of using someone's name. Now, my job, I'm a baby name consultant. I know, weirdo job, but I absolutely love it, and I'm really obsessed with the power of names. And there was this lovely quote about the most beautiful sound to anyone's ears is their own name, said nicely. And there's that joke as well, isn't there? Like, we only use our kids' full name when we're cross. So it really does kind of bring somebody closer to you. And if you think about it, if somebody says I love you, you might hear that all the time, but when was the last time your partner said I love you and then your name, like your real name, like I love you Sarah Jane, it would be like so crazy. And the kids all the time, I love you mummy, you hear it a lot with mummy, but if you're struggling to think, how can I just do little things to feel more present, or my children to feel my presence more, just using their name. So, Evelina, would you like your breakfast now? Here's your breakfast, Evelina. And if you feel comfortable, sort of like, Evelina, my love, Evelina, my darling, or like, Finn, my sweetie. Like, you know, I like to add little bits in, but that's just me. Some people find that too super cringe. And using their name as often as possible, especially when you're looking in their eyes and talking to them, it's really going to go into that bit that they feel seen. And if they feel seen, they're going to feel heard. And if they feel heard, they're going to feel really connected to you. So even if you haven't got time to do this big one-on-one time, to do more, you know, putting work away more and sitting down and being really present because you're still in this burnout zone, you know, it's really hard to change a major habit, but that's a really simple little hack. You can just do it over family dinners, do it in the morning in particular, when they get home from school in particular, when you get in from work after a separation, before bed, lots of using their name, and it's really, really sweet, and it really works. When it comes to taking time for yourself, have a think about when you do it and where you can do it, and try to move it as early as possible in the day, because I don't know about you, but I get more energy in the morning, or I feel more purposeful in the morning, so therefore my rest and my self-care time, sounds a little bit rude as always. If I bring it earlier in the day, it feels more set full of intention, rather than, what I mean by that is, if you do a whole day of work, kids, jobs, life admin, and then lying on the sofa at the end of the day, never feels like, oh, I've really had this lovely fulfilling time alone, does it? It just feels like I'm exhausted, I'm flat out now, I've got nothing left to give, and if anyone comes near me, I'm just going to blank you out, basically. So it's not really, it's like kind of out of fuel. Whereas if you use your fuel earlier on in the day to do that thing, it feels a lot better. And this is what I missed about commuting into work, was that time to read my book in the morning or on my way home from work. And I used to always read. Everyone did in London back then. I wonder if people still read. We're all on our phones. Very sad. But reading an article on your phone, reading a chapter of your book, just sitting watching your favourite telly programme for 30 minutes earlier in the day, it feels quite naughty, because like I'm like cheating on work or cheating on my kid by doing something for myself, or daytime bath, those are the dream, feels much better and will fill you up more than just thinking, it's okay, I'll get through everything else, then at the end of the day I'll have my time. So just have a think about when you can do it. And my best friend, a girl I know who's the most present mum I know, one time she said to me, I feel really cheated if before I pick the kids up from school I didn't get to sit with a cup of tea and watch TV for like an hour or something. And I was like, you do what? Like, what? I was so shocked, because I just felt she was constantly, I don't know what I thought she was doing, just constantly being present to children who were at school. But I thought, now I should adopt that, and I've started doing it a lot earlier in the day and feeling so much better for it. For me, sometimes it's even just getting ready, like just curling my hair, or picking a different outfit that I've worn, or a different one from the school run, not today's was. But think about it, schedule it in earlier, even just on the weekends. And then being more present with our kids, sometimes we take it and we sort of go, I'm going to have 45 minutes, an hour, uninterrupted attention time with my child in the house, or take them out. I find it much easier when I'm out, like to go to the playground and play with them for an hour. I find super easy. But the top tip, when you're feeling really burnt out and disinterested, and let's be honest, we all do at some point, we lose our mummy mojo, as I call it, is to do something that you enjoy. Think, what can we do together? Not what can I do for them or with them? It's what can we do together, and what do you really enjoy doing together? And if you find that little thing, it can really make you much more present, because you're engaged and enjoying it. So for example, if you don't love gluing and sticking, then don't spend your hour gluing and sticking, because your mind will just be drifting, you won't be fully present. If you love arts and crafts and making jewellery, do that with them. But finding something you love to do together is so valuable, to spend that time having a think about it. So my oldest likes baking. I'm not so mad on baking, but I do like cooking, like savoury foods, trying new recipes. Getting him involved and getting him to cook with me is such a nice thing that we can actually do together, and that we both enjoy. Because I'm enjoying it, I'm engaged, or I love reading. So you can do little book clubs together, you can read together. I read to them all the time during the day. Like if we're just sat around, I'll say, let's read our books, because I'm having a good time. And you can read your own books, like your own childhood books, like don't read them like, I don't know, strike big thick novels, but like Magic Faraway Tree. I read that again, and I was loving it, because it was like, I loved Moonface when I was little, and the stories that I enjoyed. So really what you're going to enjoy. If you're really into movies, then have that movie time, take them to the cinema, but make sure you're doing something that you enjoy and that you're thinking, let's do this together. Oh, sorry, the sun's come out. Will be a really, really lovely way for you feeling more present easily. Okay, I've moved because the sun at the moment is either like can't be bothered to show up at all, or then just right in my eyes, right in my face, and I think it's a sign of burnout that is so pissed me off. So angry with the sun for shining. One other thing I was going to say is about phones. So being present and being on your phone is a really bad habit. I think all of us, we've always got our phones in our hand, and I notice it with other people, and yet don't necessarily hold myself accountable for it. But my top thing with phones is to not have it for the first hour of the day, and apparently psychologically it stops that sort of urge to keep going back to your phone throughout the day if you don't have it for the whole first hour. So that's what I really try and do. I'm actually either all or nothing with my phone. I'm either totally on it, you'll get a text back in 0.3 seconds, or you won't hear from me for like 2 to 4 weeks. That's just how it goes. So yeah, if you want to break up from your phone and that whole thing, I think the first hour of the day is a really good habit, and I really wish my kids would be in that habit, because I think over Christmas they've got into just grabbing their phones because they're a bit older now. So yeah, that's something I'm going to have to really reinforce and help us be a lot more present together. And if you can, if you're really bad, then just pop it away in a drawer, or pop all your kids' phones away in a drawer and just lock them away for a little while. We actually just turn the whole Wi-Fi off. We're a little bit mean. And my last one is about self-care in general and how to think about self-care, because this was a huge reframe for me that stopped me feeling guilty about not being present. And I think when you think about self-care, people are like, it's something you have to do, like a project or something you have to fix about yourself. And I understand that, but how I started to feel then is, oh, failing at that as well. Or I'm not even present enough for myself. And if I don't love myself, I show up for myself, how can I show up for others? Or the da-da-da-da. But it's really impossible. And what I read something, or I was thinking about it, how self-care is really self-compassion. And sometimes it's enough just to look at yourself and go, you're having a really hard time right now. You're not firing on all cylinders. You're not able to be present as you wanted to be. You're very distracted, or you're low. You're very low vibe. And going, but that's okay. I see that about you, but I'm not going to try and fix that about you, to yourself. And I found that self-compassion really freeing, because it allowed me to sit in my low vibe, in my non-present vibe, guilt-free, and accept help and accept just compassion and kindness for myself. And then I could make those sort of baby steps to start doing some of the stuff I've talked about. So a guy explained it to me, one of these guys that you see every like 4 years at someone's birthday party that you don't actually friends with directly, if that makes sense. And I was chatting to him at this birthday party, and he just really opened the lid on my whole feelings around this, because he lost both his parents. I don't know what to, but very close together, very recently. And my sister at the moment is really sick with cancer. My dad just recovered from cancer. And he said to me that he felt his life had really changed and really shrunk, and that he was only really existing in this sort of 15% of brain power or mental load that he could take on at the moment, and where he used to live a very full life. But he said, what I think of it as is that the rest of that bandwidth, I'm saving bandwidth for processing what I've gone through or what I'm still going through, and that's necessary, and it needs to be there, because it is taking a lot of time to process, or to come to terms with what's happening, or to recover from this massive stress. Your stress could be caused by anything. And I was like, oh my god, that makes so much sense to me. And also when you've got something like an illness or a tragedy, or you've got something like depression or anxiety, sometimes you don't know when it's going to come back and hit you. So your brain is saving a part of itself to deal with it when it comes back again. Because if you're sort of fully full, then there's no reserves there. So I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense to me. It makes me feel really aware of how I'm feeling in a way that I'm not guilty about. And then what I started to think about is that my 15% is just I'm constantly buffering and getting rid of that bandwidth. So the next day I might be 20%, then I might go back to 0, but then I can load a bit more again to 22%, and it might go back down. And every day I was loading more and more of being present and feeling more like myself and being back in the room. without pressure and guilt, because I know I can hold something back that I need to for however many years I need to. And I just really loved that analogy. I'm a very visual person. If you follow my channel, I'm always like, an analogy is, or imagine it like this, just how I think, pictures. And I really thought that would help somebody, and I really, really hope it does. So those are my thought changes, hacks on how to stay present. Tap in, do something that you're enjoying together with the person you're trying to be more present with, use their name, try to ditch the phone a little bit, try to bring your self-care earlier in the day so it's done with more purpose and intention, and just remember it's okay to save yourself some bandwidth. Oh, was that a Jerry Springer final thought? That's an old... Was that just a summary of everything? I really hope you've enjoyed chatting with me about being present. I hope it's not been sort of too much. Do this, do that. This is how to do it because I'm smashing it, because I'm absolutely not. It's actually kind of hilarious, me making a video about being present. Hit subscribe if you have enjoyed it. Let me know any more topics you'd like to chat about, and I'd love to say hi in the comments bit. Bye guys.